Hey everyone, in this video we're looking at a vocabulary and context question for the SAT reading and writing section. So we're going to break down this paragraph, make sure we understand it, fill in the blank with our own words, and then we'll use that to do the process of elimination. The archaeological team's interpretation of the ancient settlement, so we have an archaeological team, they're interpreting something, remains surprisingly blank given their reputation for making bold theoretical claims. So this a particular archaeological team has a reputation. Reputation for what? They make bold theoretical claims. But this particular interpretation that we are talking about of this particular ancient settlement, their interpretation of this ancient settlement is surprising. Why is it surprising? It is surprising because it is a contradiction to their usual scenario. It is not like their status quo. That is what we are indicating, which means this blank needs to be a contrast to bold theoretical claims. So that's a huge clue there, right? Now it could be that it's not bold, it could be that it is not theoretical, it could be that it is not either. So we don't know how exactly it is a contrast yet. That's where the rest of the context comes into picture. Rather than proposing definitive explanations, definitive is clear, decisive explanations, for the unusual burial practices and architectural features, the researchers carefully qualified each conclusion and acknowledged multiple possible interpretations of the fragmentary evidence. Right, so they are coming up with interpretations, so that's theoretical. So the issue is not that their interpretation or their claims aren't theoretical. It seems to be that their claims are not bold, unlike their usual claims. Why are we saying they are not making bold claims? Because they are acknowledging multiple possible interpretations. What does that mean? It means they're saying, oh, it could be this, it could be that, it could be this. Anything is possible is what they are saying, which is unusual for them when they are usually making very definitive explanations. Very clear explanations. The other clue here, again, that calls back to the lack of boldness in their claims, is the fact that we are saying they carefully qualified each conclusion. What does that mean? Now, to qualify for a test is to be eligible to participate for it. To obtain a qualification is to get a degree. Those are not the meanings of the word qualify that we are talking about here. When you make a claim or an assertion and a conclusion and you qualify it, it means you're putting a lot of if-then clauses to it. It means you're saying, oh, this is my opinion, provided this happens under these circumstances, if these conditions are met, not a universal claim. So you're being very cautious and careful about the conclusions that you're drawing. So that again calls to the, or talks about the lack of decisiveness in their claims. So what we are looking for is the opposite of definitive and bold, because they're carefully qualifying each conclusion and acknowledging multiple interpretations. Right? Something that is the opposite of these words. So vague conclusions, undecided, indecisive conclusions, something like that is what we are looking for. Now let's do the process of elimination. Now we are clearly saying it is not definitive, so definitive cannot again be the answer option. This is the opposite of what we are looking for. Similarly, dogmatic cannot be your answer either. To be dogmatic about something is to be very stubborn about something. Usually because you're very confident about what you are thinking. Oh, I know I'm right, therefore I won't, I won't sacrifice my principles, I won't do what you are saying, etc. To be stubborn because you think you're right is to be dogmatic. Now these people are not doing that. They don't seem to be thinking that they are right. They're not making those usual definitive claims, so that's also out. That leaves us with circumspect and speculative. Speculative is to draw conclusions without having the knowledge for it. Then basically it means you're just guessing. Whatever comes to your mind. That is speculative. Circumspect means you're being very cautious. You are being very risk-averse. So given the context, given the lack of boldness, it's not that they don't have knowledge. This is an archaeological team that has experience in their field. So speculative, we don't have enough clues to support speculative as an answer, which means circumspect, being very risk-averse, being very cautious about their claims, absolutely matches the context. It is the opposite of making bold claims, opposite of making definitive claims. You're being very cautious.